This is the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. CC Electric, do free estimates, and they have military and veteran discounts. Let me share with you, this is how we do between now and 2. This is our final hour. I'm still taking text messages. You can text and end up having a chance to win a $100 gift card to Honey Baked Ham. Every day this week, 2 people will move forward. At the end of the week, that means 10 people, 2 per day. 10 people are finalists to win a $100 gift card to Honey Baked Ham. My producer, Jeanette, reminded me I need to mention, if you've won Honey Baked Ham, the gift card before, you are not eligible. We're just looking for new winners each month. And, we do this once a month. We want the whole world to try Honey Baked Ham. Honey Baked Ham, they'd love to have new people step in and try it for the first time and basically get your mind blown. Oh, it is so good. And they have more than just the ham. You can try, I think they have turkey too, and they do sliders and they do catering. It's amazing everything they do at Honey Baked Ham College Station. You can go online, find them yourselves, stop by. Oh, glorious, I say. So if you've won Honey Baked Ham before, we've only done this each of the past 2 months. You're not eligible, but otherwise, text, get yourself registered every day. You have a chance to get yourself registered. So, 58 minutes left to give yourself a chance. If you don't make it today, don't worry. There's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Also, in the time we have left, 1:35, I got to listen in part 2. This will be the top 5 wide receivers for the college football season 2026. Greg McElroy, who talks ball, and that's why I'm listening to him at my desk all the time, is just going through my day. It was the top 10, and we are part 1 on Friday. This is part 2, which is the top 5 part of the list. So listen in. Top 5 wide receivers for the 2026 college football season. Also, in about 90 seconds, we have to, I mentioned the winningest college football teams of the 90s, and I asked you 2 questions. Who's number 1? Where's A&M on the list? It was the decade of excellence. So I gave you a chance to think, and if you maybe you want to make that your text, where do you think A&M is? Ronnie J, which, man, what's up, brother? I know Ronnie J is always out there listening, traveling the state, doing his thing, and just makes me smile when he texts in. Ronnie J said, "Good morning, Lou. Who I would say, Florida schools, Penn State, Nebraska, Texas A&M. He's pretty, if you look at the way he listed it, he's fairly accurate where he put A&M, because according to him, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and A&M was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A&M had 94 wins in the 90s, and 94 was the 6th best of any school. It was the decade of excellence. It was the decade of Wrecking Crew. It was the decade of Cotton Bowls, which was the highest glory at the time. It was the decade of so close, but never that last step, that natty. They just couldn't win some of those Cotton Bowls at the key times. The one year that they went undefeated, they were on probation, or would they have one loss in the probation year? You could smell it. You could taste it. 94 wins, decade of excellence, 6th best. 6th best. He mentioned Penn State. They had 97, and that was 5th of the decade. Texas did not register for the entire decade. He mentioned Texas. They were not in the top 20. The Longhorns were not in the top 20 of decade of excellence, because one of the, and this is since I've been a college football fan, so 80s, 90s, 2000s, I don't know, 4-decade long, 5-decade long conversation. The question, is it possible for A&M and Texas to be top 10 programs at the same time? Can they both contend for national championships at the same time? Because it seems like when one is in like a dynasty mode, the other is not. They both can't be top 10 at the same time. Now, hold on. The world has changed. We didn't have transfer portal. We didn't have NIL. Player acquisition, talent acquisition has completely changed. Has it changed that statement, that paradigm, that concept? Is it possible now for A&M and Texas to both be top 10 programs at the same time because of NIL, free agency, portal. I think that's something that's going to be tested with Elko and Texas and the SEC. We just need more data points. But back to the winningest college football teams of the 1990s. The winningest college football teams of the 1990s. I revealed that A&M is 6. And he mentioned just Ronnie J. What a great text message. By the way, anybody can weigh in. Who's number 1? I'm saving it for last. Number 10 was Ohio State and Alabama. I guess they were tied for 9th. Both at 91 wins. The U, the last flickering embers of the U. They were 8th at 92. There's Michigan at 7 at 93. A&M was 6 at 94. Penn State was 5 at 97. Tennessee was 4 at 98. Now, the top 3 all broke 100 wins. When I went from college football fan to absolute hardcore junkie, Jackie Sherrill got me believing. RC put Wrecking Crew out there, and the Florida schools, the speed that they played college football at, I watched Florida, Florida State, and Miami. Florida State, Florida, and Miami. I was addicted to watching because the old Wishbone, T-Bone, all of that, it never was the most appealing to me. I still watched in the 80s when that kind of college football, double tight, I formation, run, pass, punt. I've always loved college football. But the rise of the Florida schools, and I guess the most effective way to describe it is speed kills, took me from fan to fanatic, from fan to this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And the U, getting off the airplane in camos, Spurrier with the fun and gun. Yeah, I was all in. And look, Bobby Bowden, say what you want at the end, but before, he stayed past his expiration date, what he did at Florida State, speed kills the Florida schools. I used to take off work. I used to reserve the holy days when like Florida State and Miami played in Florida, because they all used to play each other in the non-con before we used to have to schedule for college football committee manipulation. They played each other. Oh, I'm serious. That's not a joke. I used to take off. Those days were reserved. So 3 schools above 100 wins for the decade of the 90s. 2 of them are the Florida schools. More of the text messages here. Joe in College Station said Nebraska. That is the school I didn't say. And, I'm sorry. I saw another text message I will read. You talk about a hot take. Not sure where this came from, but hey, I'll share. Nebraska was 2nd at 108, and to not have got them in their slot angers me for being so dumb, forgetting Nebraska. Here's the text message that I just wonder where this came from. Because, I'll read it. It's from, of course, a text message like this would be anonymous. That's the other part that made me chuckle. This would be anonymous. Beating up on every Southwest Conference team on the eve of its demise and winning over every directional school in Louisiana only to lose in the bowl game at the end of the year to top-ranked teams does not constitute excellence. Coach Sherrill got us closer, 86 through 88. Coach Slocum won a lot of games, but I say it was above average at best. Anonymous, which of course you would not sign your name on that text message. I have to disagree with you. The Southwest Conference, yeah, it had a bottom end. But back at that time, when the talent was split out, every conference had a bottom end. There was no difference. And this losing every year to the top-ranked teams, yeah, they were A&M was top 10, and they faced other top 10s. There were some horrific, and they weren't losing 52-0. They were having 5 turnover games and losing by like 3 points. They were in the thick of it. Okay. If you don't consider that the decade of excellence, then your standard is higher than maybe mine. And by your standard, there would probably only be 4 schools, 5 total, that had a decade of excellence. And that's fine. Okay. That's kind of how I am with 5 and 4 stars. The less 5 stars a recruiting service has, the more I like that recruiting service. It should be held for single digit percentages, like maybe 2% of the recruiting population, as opposed to 25%. So if you're trying to do that kind of thing, I've done it myself when I kind of do standards. But to create a system that Jackie did lead into RC with, and RC took to the next level, let's say, to win week in, week out, almost regardless of who you're playing, is excellence. To recruit at the level that RC did. At the end, Mac Brown came in, changed recruiting in the state, changed recruiting on the national level, and the decade ended. But it was a decade of excellence. I just don't see how that's disputable. No, it never got over the final hump, Natty. It didn't. That's a fact. Doesn't mean it wasn't excellent. So I think that's just trying too hard. Okay, I'm going to give credit where it's due. Anonymous no more, and he's Wayne. So he does sign his name. I give you credit, dude. You want to take shots at the decade of excellence? Wayne, he texted back, thank you much. That credit where it's due, Wayne. But I just don't see how, to dispute. If you're going to do that, go back through the other, we'll say, dynasties and so forth. It wasn't on the par with some of the OU dynasties where they didn't lose a game for like 26 years, or the Nebraska ones. But it was a decade of excellence. I can't put that under dispute. And generally, I'm called the harshest critic most people hear. Most people here talk about anything almost. And I don't see a reason to, or when I look at it, to be fair with you. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. You can light up the Texas Mobile One Lube Express inbox. Texas Mobile One Lube Express, owned by Gabriel Garcia. Nebraska was 2 at 108. This is the list of the top winningest college football teams of the 1990s. And again, A&M was 6th at 94 wins. I don't think it was all padding like the text message implies. I know it wasn't, matter of fact. The only criticism, and I don't even think it's a criticism, I think it's a fact, they just never got over the hump. Now, who's 1 and 3? I already kind of gave you the biggest hints I could. It's what got me for life hooked, addicted to college football. The Florida schools, the Florida schools, the Florida schools. When speed kills became the thing, I became an outright addict. Miami was 8th at 92. At number 3 was Florida, Spurrier, 102. And number 1, whenever all the Florida State, what Bobby Bowden did, and he should have like 7 national championships. It's unreal. But the number of pure just volume of wins is 109. I have the number. I don't have to keep it a secret. 109 wins for Florida State. Nebraska was 108. Florida was 102. They were the only 3 schools over 100. And again, 2 of the 3 of the Florida schools, and there's Miami at 8, and they changed the game in ways that, till today. Speed kills, speed kills, speed kills. They were fun. And it had nothing to do with the attitude of the U. It was just fun to watch the game played the way those schools played it. Now, that was the top 10. You will be surprised by the other 10. Syracuse pops up at 15. Air Force is 17. North Carolina's 18. Virginia is 19? No, they're tied with North Carolina, I'm sorry, at 18. Like, you didn't see these schools coming. Now, if you watched in these parts, are you shocked when you see Kansas State tied at 11 and Bill Snyder might be the most underrated coach in the history of college football? I mean, the answer is going to be no. You're not going to be kind of surprised at all. If you lived in these parts, you knew how great Bill Snyder was. Notre Dame popping up at 14. This is the second half of the top 20. And Vatek, Beamer Ball, was number 20 at 77 wins. Look at that gap, by the way. Number 20 is 91. Number 10. Ohio State 91. And Vatek 77. That's 24 wins over a decade. That is a huge gap between 10 and 20. But there you go. I just saw this, man. It made me think so many different memories, going over, my prime when I got hooked. I got into the media towards the back end of this. Well, that's not true. I got into media, but didn't get into sports media towards the back end of this. I started saying radio career is pretty relative. I got into radio and stumbled into getting to do some things. But 91 is when I first got into radio. Sports media was the back end of the 90s, too. I'll be right back. It is the Louie Bellina Show, Monday, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. That is CC Electric.
The Louie Bellina Show, hanging out with his friends like Logan, Olin, Mitch, Braden, Joe, Zed, Rusty, and you. Listen in weekdays 11 to 2 on The Zone.
Have you ever, and I mean ever, heard like a song and just thought to yourself, how do you write something like that? Because that's Werewolves of London. I mean, that's not the only song, but every time I just listen to it and I'm like, what was the inspiration for something like that? It's so genius and so just out there and just, it's brilliant. It's bizarre. Like, it's not a universe I can recognize. It's amazing. It is glorious. The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. The Louie Bellina Show, inside the Charles Schwab studio, Monday. I got a text message, and it hurts. Of course it'd be Rusty Burson, wouldn't it? Only your friends can hurt you so much. It reads, I'm inside the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. Texas Mobile and Lube Express, owned by Gabriel Garcia. And again, was it Rod Stewart, first cut? This is just hitting me with a shovel. Texas Rangers pitchers held the Cubs scoreless in the final 20 innings of their weekend series. Oh, I'm aware. Trust me. And he knows it. I don't think that is sustainable. Me neither. But that is quite an accomplishment since the Cubs came into Arlington as the hottest team in baseball. True. The Cubs did. Cubs were one of the two hottest teams in baseball, going to Arlington, taking on a Rangers team that can't score. And as Rusty texted to destroy my soul with, and the Cubs did not score in the final 20 innings, and the Cubs lost 2 out of 3, and their hottest team in baseball moniker is dead. Oh, that was rough. Ain't no other way to put it. So I'm an Astros Cubs fan. That's just who I've been my entire life. And the Astros this weekend lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds, who had lost 8 straight. Then it was 9 straight because the Astros won the Friday game. Saturday was so painful. Spencer Arrighetti was brilliant again, but he gave up 3 runs. Oh, he's awful. No. 2 were unearned because Cam Smith went out in right field. He just dropped a ball that hit him in his glove. I, this weekend, did something Saturday that I've been meaning to do forever. How many people know about Leona's General Store in Leona, Texas? Well, a good friend of mine told me years ago about the steak night Saturday ribeye, and I forgot. And then I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, Mr. Hicks up here mentioned it again. I went, oh yeah, because so I remembered again. It's like I need to not forget about a Texas steak tradition. So then Ryan Starr, you know him Fridays, Chip Howard Sports Talk. Maybe some days you hear singing through the walls here of the Charles Schwab studio, and you're like, that's Ryan Starr, who karaoke's a lot around here. And Ryan's like, let's go. And that's all I needed. I had my partner in crime. So Saturday we went to the Leona General Store for the ribeye steak night. And how does this tie to the Astros again? Well, we were watching the game as we were in line. Oh, so we were watching it live. And when Cam Smith dropped that ball, he's an Astros fan. He's from Houston. And he's one of those Rockets, Cougars, Astros, you name it. And when we watched them drop it, we almost lost our appetite, but then we remembered it was steak and we had our appetite again. But it was horrific. So they lost the Saturday, and then Sunday they just got beat. I mean, they should have beat them 2 out of 3. Reds were free falling. And hey, if you ever need a cure, just call the Stros. So brutal bad. Should have won the series. And for the Astros, that just would have been that positive momentum. What's that? I mean, there are positives. Jeremy Pena has to survive like one more round of can he run the bases? If he does, he'll start rehab. Hunter Brown looks like he's going to start rehab. Josh Hader's already doing some rehab. I mean, and as kind of expected, June, reinforcements are on the way in a division that's so awful. But you got Cam Smith who shows flashes, but at this point, he's hitting 215. He's dropping balls that hits his glove, and everything just feels like a circus. And I'm scared they're going to fire Espada. That will make no impact. I say scared. And truth be told, that they do it can't hurt either. But the problem is, like, you have too many quarters, so you go turn in all your dimes. It has nothing to do with nothing. That's just, and it's kind of typical of a lot of the things that they do now. It's making a move just to make a move if you fire Espada. People are like Dana Brown this, Dana Brown that. And you know what? They did leave Tang in there too long yesterday. And that is on Espada, but is there an answer in the pen right now or anything to do with the pitching? He left him in there too long. He should have, sure, but it wouldn't have made a difference. There is no answer in the pen. They're just shuffling deck chairs. So, anyway, I'm not kidding when I say that. They don't have an organizational philosophy at this point. Are you playing for this year? Are you playing for next year? Are you taking a 2-year plan? What do they do at the trade deadline? I'll bet you that Brown doesn't know, Crane doesn't know. You need to have an organizational philosophy to move forward. And they're just day to day, but aren't we all? 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. You can light up the Texas Mobile and Loop Express inbox. Yeah, one text message. Lament and sorrow. A Cubs-Astros fan who this weekend had to watch the Rangers blank the Cubs for 20 innings and the Astros lose 2 out of 3 to one of the worst teams currently. 8-game losing streak. It was 9 when the Astros won Friday. And that Saturday loss, again, sitting there on the bench, waiting for ribeye steak night at the Leona General Store, and Cam Smith just dropped it. I think we just turned it off at that point, knowing how it was going to go. Went on to give up 3 runs. And it was the only inning Reds scored. Now look, if the Astros were only going to score 1 run, they weren't going to win anyway, right? So, but man, and Spencer Arrigetti's been one of the very few ray of lights. 979-693-1150. Hey, something I wanted to hit you up with real quick. We got all summer, off season, and this will be the question of, how it goes. Aggie football off season will start kind of in June. I think it was on 3, had this list of the projected starters on offense. And I'm just kind of wondering if this was the list you had too. For quarterback, it's Marcel Reed. Yeah, you have that. Ruben Owens Jr. Ruben Owens at second. Sorry. This is the running back. Check. At wide receiver, Horton Craver. Check, check. And then they have Aaron Gregory taking the third spot. I know we heard his name all spring long. Wouldn't it be Ashton Bethel Roman in the third spot, especially when you consider how strong his second half was? He had a spring injury, correct. Is there some guesswork with that on the extent of the injury? I know we're going to see Gregory no matter what. And if we're debating the third wide receiver, then really does it matter? I think it does, but I found that interesting. Tight end is Micah Riley. Here's where it got interesting. Okay, so tackles, Tyree Adams, Cohen Eccles is the guard. That's your left side. And yes, Mark Naboo Jr. is the center. And then on the right side, Blake Ivy takes the guard spot. And I know as the spring went on, I've heard that name pop up more and more and more versus one of the transfer guards. And then Wilcom Formby at the tackle spot. And are we locked in? I know nothing's locked in, but Blake Ivy, again, his name has popped up more. I don't think that's speculation, guessculation. That seems to be the popular trend. So is that what you have too? Gregory, Micah Riley, yeah. And then Blake Ivy. I guess those are the only two that would be the, yeah? Got to hit up a couple of text messages before we take a timeout. How was the steak at Leona? That's from Anonymous. And then on a positive note, you did get in the door at Leona. The steak is yeah, indeed. Well, how was the steak? And you did get in the door. We were told, okay, session 1 is 5:30. And I don't remember what they said session 2 is. So if you're going to do the first sit-down session, to get in the door at 5:30, they said show up at 4. We showed up at 3:50. Well, there were people that thought way more ahead than us. We were safely inside the sit-down. We were from the door to the corner by showing up at 3:50 for 5:30, but we were hanging out. Didn't feel the time. We had to wait at all. Got set. They had that thing as a machine. You wait, but once the doors open, man, well-oiled machine. How was the steak? Phenomenal. There's something so, you're in the middle of nowhere. It's such a vibe being there. The whole place is a vibe. It's so country. Waiting there with other people. You know how this kind of thing is not just, it's a steak. It's the whole experience, right? And it was. After driving down for a little less than an hour, waiting in line for an hour 40, and then you finally sit down, the anticipation makes it even more delicious. But the key to the ribeye is their seasoning, and I think it's got to be seasoning from the grill. And the seasoning they do is so subtle and perfect that it is just a delicious, glorious steak. I thought it was phenomenal. So worth every moment of it. So how was the steak? That's how the steak was at the Leona General Store. When we come back, the listening, top 5 wide receivers for 2026. This is the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. This is the Louie Bellina Show inside the Charles Schwab studio, Monday on The Zone.
Your home for the Houston Astros is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
It is the Louie Bellina Show inside the Charles Schwab studio. It is the Louie Bellina Show. Don't forget, you can call me on the D4 Land Services hotline. Many guests join me on the D4 Land Services hotline. And sometimes when I say caller number 5, win, 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 where do you think you're calling? It's the D4 Land Services hotline. And if you need your land fixed up, you need your land cleared, you need your land excavated, then you need to go to d4landservices.com, d4landservices.com. Time now, part 2. If you were with us Friday, it's part 1. But if you weren't with us Friday, don't worry. You don't need the lead in. This is part 2 of the top wide receivers for the 2026 college football season. This is the top 5 with Greg McElroy from his Always College Football podcast. This is just talking ball.
Mother's Day is coming, and you gotta show love to the mothers in your life.
Okay, you know what's funny about that? That is still, we had technical difficulties where we did not play the part 2 because of it. So I'll tell you what, give me 60 seconds. I'll be right back.
Hey there, campers. It's Jan from Toyota. Time to pack your bags and buckle your seatbelts because this summer we're headed to Camp Toyota. And the fun starts now. We're kicking things off by kicking up mud. Jump in, campers. We're going off-roading in a powerful new 4Runner. Next, we're heading to the hot springs in a spacious Sequoia.
Jan, what is that smell?
Sulfur stinks. Now we're hitting the hiking trails in a rugged Grand Highlander. And finally, park your Tundras and Tacomas around the campfire because we're roasting marshmallows. Don't worry if you burn a few, folks. I brought a truckload. Your summer starts here.
Right now, qualified buyers get 2.99% APR financing for 72 months, plus $1,000 subvention cash on a new 2026 Tundra. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
The problem is fixed. Here's the top 5 quarterbacks for the 2026 college football season with Greg McElroy.
At number 5, it's Andrew Marsh from the Michigan Wolverines. Now, Andrew Marsh is from Texas. At number 5, it's Andrew Marsh from the Michigan Wolverines. Now, Andrew Marsh is from Texas. He's a young player, and he's got big hands and would have been one of the largest hands at the measurement at the combine last year. The guy can jump like crazy. He was unbelievable in track and was just a true freshman last year. But by October, he was one of the leading receivers in the entire Big Ten. He had 45 for 651 and 4 touchdowns, which is second nationally among true freshmen in receiving yards. And his performance against Northwestern in particular set a Michigan program record for single game receiving yards by a true freshman since at least 1979. Those 12 catches also ranked 5th in Michigan program history for a single game receptions, regardless of class. So he was the offensive skill player of the year last year and was an all Big Ten honorable mention as a true freshman. Now he's a sophomore and in a new coaching era under Kyle Whittingham. And the most anticipated question in Ann Arbor this spring is what Andrew Marsh looks like with a full year of experience and a system that is designed to feature him with a quarterback that is going to advance as well. Now, the comparable that Michigan keeps reaching for is Mario Manningham. If you look at what he did as a true freshman in 2005, and then you look at what he did the following year, he went from 440 receiving yards to 703. And that was as a sophomore in just 9 games. That's a near 60% increase in yards. If you do a 60% increase in what Marsh did last year from 651, it would take him over 1,000 yards. Michigan has not had a 1,000-yard receiver in over a decade. And Marsh is the reason why that could change. That's why he's in at number 5. He is one of the top 3 sophomore wide receivers in college football, and he is going to be a household name here very soon across the country if this passing attack as a whole can take a significant step forward. At number 4, it's Isaiah Satania from Oklahoma. Now, if you look at Satania, his background is very clear. He's got a track background. Both of his parents were track athletes. His father was the former head track coach at Texas, was an assistant at Arkansas. His mother competed at the Olympic level as well. And Satania himself won a bunch of indoor and outdoor state championships across a bunch of different events. This guy is not just fast, though. I mean, he was raised in a household where speed is a bit of a science, and acceleration is part of what you learn. While you're learning to read, you learn how to run too. And the gap between good and great is measured by hundredths of a second. This guy is a Ferrari. And that shows up on the football field when you watch him. And if you look at some of the numbers, his first year in Norman last year, he started his career at Arkansas. He went for 67 catches, 965, and 8 touchdowns. He was second team all SEC. He led the entire conference in receiving yards against SEC competition. And Oklahoma had 25 receptions of 15 or more yards downfield. Well, Satania was on the receiving end of 13 of those 25 receptions. So of 15 or more yards. So he had 3 touchdown receptions that went for more than 50. So to think about that, 3 touchdowns, 50 plus yards in the SEC, and he accounted for over 31% of Oklahoma's total receiving yards. That's arguably one of the toughest conferences in the country. Now he heads into 2026 with an even better situation. You look at the pieces that have been added by the Sooners. They go out and get Trell Harris from Virginia. They go out and get Parker Livingston from Texas. You go out and get a couple other pieces at tight end. There could be a scenario this year where Satania actually gets a little bit more one-on-one coverage. You might see some more safeties that are pulled toward the box if Oklahoma can more consistently run the football. You also get John Mateer back at quarterback with a full year of experience throwing to Satania and a deeper supporting cast to work with. So he decided to come back for his final season of eligibility when the NFL was calling. He comes in, though, at number 4. He's one of the fastest players in the sport, and he's going to have a tremendous year if Mateer can be a little bit more consistent in the middle part of the season, and if the supporting cast can draw attention a little bit more consistently away from him than they did last year. But he comes in at number 4. Satania is a real under-the-radar star for the Oklahoma Sooners. At number 3, it's Deuce Robinson from Florida State. Now, this is kind of the thing that we need to talk about before we hit on anything about Deuce Robinson. We know he's huge, right? But think about this number, 19.3. That's his average yards per reception last year. He had 56 catches for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. He was first team All ACC. He was a Blitnikoff Award semifinalist. He became the first Florida State wide receiver to post a 1,000-yard receiving season since Tamarion Terry back in 2019. He finished inside the top 10 in the FBS in receiving yards during the regular season, all while playing for a team that went 5-7 overall. He's massive at 6'6", 230. We know he runs round 4.4, and he can go up and pluck the ball out of the air as well as anybody in the country. He had 18 contested catches last year. That was tied for 3rd in the entire FBS. And a lot of teams thought that he was going to be going to the NFL. A lot of people thought, all right, he's going to go. This is his time. He said no. He said he did not want to leave after the season that Florida State had because the fans had given him so much and he wanted to give something back. Well, now for the first time since he arrived in Tallahassee, there's actually some clarity at the quarterback spot. Ashton Daniels has been named the starting quarterback for this upcoming season. He's maybe not the best thrower in the world, but he can throw the deep ball. And if you look at his win-loss record as a starter, it's not great, but he's mobile, he's experienced, and he's walking into a situation where the number 1 wide receiver averages 19 yards per touch. That's a quarterback situation that doesn't need to be elite. Just needs to be competent enough to give Deuce Robinson a chance to go up and make some plays. He's trying to become only the 2nd Florida State receiver in program history to post back-to-back 1,000-yard wide receiver or receiving seasons. So he's at number 3. He is certainly one of the 3 best wide receivers in college football. And when Deuce Robinson gets the ball on a vertical route with nothing but daylight in front of him, there's no one in the back end of any ACC secondary they're going to be able to catch him. At number 2, it's Malachi Toney. Now, let me just start with the freshman stat line. 109 catches. That is a Miami single-season record and an ACC freshman record. He went for over 1,200 yards. That led the ACC. That was top 5 in the country nationally. He had 10 receiving touchdowns. He had 113 rushing yards. He also added a score on the ground. He had nearly 300 punt return yards. He threw 4 touchdown passes. This guy's unbelievable, went for over 1,600 all-purpose yards, all while being 17 years old when he caught his first collegiate touchdown. He broke nearly every Miami single-season reception record. He set a school record that may stand for a generation. He was the ACC Rookie of the Year. He was the ACC Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Freshman of the Year, second-team All-American. I mean, you name it, the accolades are off the charts. And in the national championship game against Indiana, on arguably the biggest stage that you could possibly have in college football, he catches 10 passes for 122 and a touchdown. Even if you listen to what Bryant Haynes, Indiana's outstanding defensive coordinator, said leading up to the game, said, I would love to be able to stop number 10. That's all I want to do. Not all of my calls are going to be able to do that. That's how good this young man is. And that's from a tremendous defensive coordinator and giving credit where credit was absolutely deserved. Now he's changed his number. He's going to number 1 from number 10. That's not a coincidence. His new quarterback, Darian Mensah, is going to be hopefully connecting with him very, very soon. I love the connection that could be created there between Darian Mensah, Malachi Toney, and Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator. They already sound like they have a really good relationship. I mean, you already listened to Malachi Toney kind of rave about Mensah in the media throughout the spring. And when he was asked about his mentality heading into his sophomore year, Malachi Tony said something that should make every single Biletnikoff voter pay attention. He said, I kind of take it the same way as last year, that nobody knows me. Well, we do. You're number 2 in college football as far as the wide receiver position is concerned. There is only one player ahead of him, just one, and it's not by much. And if we're going for pound football players in college football, you'd be hard-pressed to find a whole lot better than Malachi Tony. He is, without question, one of the greatest football players in college football heading into the 2026 season. At number 1, there is no debate. There has not been a debate since the first time he put on a scarlet and gray jersey. Jeremiah Smith is the best receiver in college football. He's arguably the best player in college football, regardless of position. And he comes back his junior year. Had he gone out last year, he would have been a no doubt consensus top 10 pick. Think about this for a second. The guy that was number 2 on Ohio State last year in receiving, he went 4th overall. That just goes to show you how good Jeremiah Smith is. Over his first 2 years at Ohio State, he leads all FBS receivers in receiving yards at over 2,500 yards. He leads in receiving touchdowns at 27. He has the second most receptions with 163. And he is the only receiver in the FBS to earn a grade that is absurd against man coverage, zone coverage. It doesn't matter. You cannot find answers for this young man. He is a unanimous American in 2025, and every single publication has acknowledged his greatness, and rightfully so. He's back-to-back Big Ten wide receiver of the year, and in his 6 career postseason games, all against teams that are ranked in the top 10, he's caught 34 passes for 682 yards, averaging 20 yards per reception. That's in the postseason. 20 yards per catch in the playoffs against the best teams in college football, that's remarkable. As a sophomore last year, he had 87 catches for nearly 1,250 yards and 12 touchdowns. He was in the top 6 in the Heisman Trophy voting. And if you look at the national championship game against Notre Dame a couple years ago, it was a 3rd and 11 late in the 4th quarter that effectively ended the game when he hauled in that 56-yard pass. And that moment is now forever referred to as 3rd and Jeremiah, right? I mean, the sport named it down and distance after him, right? So now let me tell you about who he is heading into 2026. Look, Ohio State lost in the Big Ten championship game to Indiana. They did, however, accomplish some pretty amazing things throughout last season. And after the loss to Miami in the Cotton Bowl, it was devastating, right? Everyone knows that, well, they just beat them. And if you listen to Smith, sounds like some teams were kind of pushing for him to maybe go into the transfer portal, would have made a boatload of money. He said this after the season. He said, I came to Ohio State for a reason, to win championships, develop as a player, and to keep building on this legacy. That to me is pretty amazing. This is a young man that has a legacy and is only trying to build on it. He won the Iron Buckeye Award, which is Ohio State's top winter workout honor for the 3rd consecutive time. Right? His teammates have said he's bigger and stronger than he was even a year ago. How is that possible? I don't know. That's for sure. And if you listen to what Coach Curt Cignetti said, Indiana's head coach, who has faced Jeremiah Smith a few times now, and a couple of those games, Jeremiah Smith went for 180 in those 2 games against Indiana. And he compared him very favorably to Julio Jones. And Coach Cignetti would know. He coached Julio Jones at Alabama. He said this guy's a little looser, maybe a little bit more flexible, but very, very similar, maybe even just a hair faster. Curt Cignetti thinks Jeremiah Smith might be faster than Julio Jones. Well, now he's going into his 3rd year at Ohio State with a very clear mission. He's going to chase every major receiving record over the course of a career in program history. He needs just 49 receptions, 467 yards, and 9 touchdowns to become Ohio State's all-time leader in those 3 categories. And he will likely break all 3 before Thanksgiving. And keep in mind, this young man has only played 2 full seasons of college football. The Heisman Trophy is a legitimate conversation. The Biletnikoff Award is his to lose. And Ohio State, with the unfinished business that they had against Miami and against Indiana and against the entire college football world, they're going to build their offense around him for at least 1 more year. Jeremiah Smith is number one. He is the best. He's earned it twice already. Now he's going to do it just one more time.
That was part 2 of the top 10 wide receivers, College Football 2026. Our listener, Greg McElroy, from his Always College Football podcast. Part 1, well, that was on Friday. This was part 2. That was your top 5 part of the top 10. Now, when we return, bye-bye. We're done with Monday. Final thoughts, final text messages, and more. It's the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, community. It's the Louie Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service, best of all local, that is Schwab. Best of all local, that's Mark Sim, right here in College Station. You can find him online at schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC.
Questions or comments about the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM?
You suck.
Send your emails to louie@bryantbroadcasting.com.
We are basically done with the Louie Bellina Show on a Monday. Thank you for hanging out with me. Again, you still have like 4 minutes and change left to text and give yourself a chance to win a $100 gift card to Honey Baked Ham. Every day this week, you text, you have a chance. At the end of the day, 2 o'clock, so 3 minutes still, 4. I'm bad with math. Sue me. Don't sue me, please. Just I'm bad with math. That's the honest truth. So you still have just under 4 minutes left to text. And at the end of the day, we blind draw 2 people. And they move on. Friday, 1 o'clock, we'll be done, wrapped up for the week, and there'll be 10 names on the list, and one person will win a $100 gift card to Honey Baked Ham. Participation on the Louie Bellina Show, generally speaking, I didn't say it's rewarding, but will be rewarded. And sometimes I drive people crazy. I drive my own family members back in the day crazy, and friends crazy too. It's an innate quality I have. I didn't say it was good. I got to go. I'm back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Oh, Ola Buchanan, Community Spotlight, Joe Sheehan of the Joe Sheehan Newsletter, and more. Peace. Have an amazing Monday, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center sells and service Polaris ATVs, Rangers, Razors, Global Electric Cars, Brutus, and the Polaris Slingshot. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone.